Don't take advice from people who've never done or attempted to do the thing that you're trying to do. It was one of the scariest, bravest, craziest, most courageous, idiotic things I'd ever done. Happy New Year! Welcome back to Truthatude TV. This is season 2 of Cafecito y Chisme, and if you're new around here, I do videos about confidence and helping women build their confidence and their community. And Cafecito y Chisme is a series where I do a little bit more relaxed format, not really scripted, just sharing stories about my life and the weird things I've gone through and the adventures I've had and all the things I've learned along the way. And so we get more cozy, we get a little bit more relaxed. I have my little cafecito here in my favorite mug. And you might notice that my background looks a little different. I have a secret to share, but first I have to take a sip. Coming close because I've got some hot goss. I am actually in Colorado. I have made some big moves very quietly in the last couple of months, and that's what I wanted to share with you today. So many of you might know that I'm originally from Colorado, but quite a while ago, probably about 12 years ago, I packed up and moved to Florida on a whim. And when I was originally planning this video, I wanted to share that whole story about how I moved to Florida, how I made the decision, and how I did it without really telling anybody my plans. But as I was making the decision to come back to Colorado, I thought I would share that as well because it was kind of the same thing. I'm all about covert ops around here. So backing all the way up to when I decided to move to Florida. So I had graduated college and was kind of just working a job that, you know, it was great. It was paying the bills and I was moving my way up, but it was really stressful. And I ended up getting really sick from all the stress, and it was a pretty major life scare, having to have surgery, and you know, I'll dive into that in another video someday. But basically, after getting medically cleared that I was okay, I just needed a change. I had gone through the worst week of my life, which I shared in another video. I'll leave that linked somewhere. But after recovering from the worst week of my life and a major medical scare and recovery process, I needed a change, a big change. And a friend of mine at the time had taken me to Florida, where she was from, on vacation. And we did Miami, we did Orlando, we did like the beach and the party scene and like all the theme parks. And it was so fun. And I remember looking around thinking, I could live here. I could live in Florida. And so when I got back, I just really started to think like, I need to leave, because I was in a tiny ass town, the town that I went to college in, and my life was just not what I wanted it to be. It was not as big and adventurous and glamorous as I had envisioned it to be when I was younger. And I was just doing the day-to-day. I literally would like go to work, come home, eat some kind of garbage junk food, and watch TV, and then go to bed. And I did that rinse and repeat every day, and was like, I'm wasting my potential, because I always knew I was made for something magnificent. I was always so sure that my purpose was going to be huge, and I was just wasting my potential. I wasn't doing anything with my creative talents. I wasn't doing anything. And so the more I just kind of marinated on this idea of moving to Florida, I talked to my friend about it, and I was like, girl, like, I want to move to Florida. And she said to me, don't talk about it, be about it. And so we were in her grandma's kitchen, and she took the calendar and she was like, pick a day. You're never going to go if you don't just set a date. So I did. This was like May or June that we were having this conversation, and I decided November 1st. November 1st, 2012, I'm leaving Colorado. So I didn't tell anybody I was moving. I didn't tell anybody I was thinking about moving. I only told my best friend, and I just started getting rid of all of my stuff. I just started to like sell things on Craigslist and started just giving shit away, having garage sales like every other week, and just like started to look for jobs in Florida. And I knew I was gonna go to Orlando because I figured whatever, it's a major metro, I can find a job anywhere. So I originally thought I would just transfer with my current job, but that got so bad. They were so terrible to me during my medical recovery that I ended up leaving that job and just getting like a basic administrative job that I could just easily do without any kind of stress. And that was really good for my healing journey. And so I just started making plans and like exploring what I could do in Florida and just applying to all kinds of jobs out there. And I even set up a dating profile and put my location as Florida so that I could start like meeting people out there. And, you know, I celebrated my birthday a week before I left, and I told a couple people, like my roommates, that I was leaving, and one of my roommates was gonna drive with me to Florida and then fly back. And so I celebrated my birthday. I had the cutest birthday party, by the way, side note. It was a Magic Mike build your own ice cream social. So we watched Magic Mike, which that's a great movie. I mean, it's kind of a terrible movie, but it's also a great movie. If you know, you know. And I did a build your own ice cream sundae bar, and it was so cute. Anyways, so after that, I started packing my stuff, and I had a little Toyota Camry, and the day came to leave, and I had the brilliant fucking idea that, oh, I'll just sleep all day and then we'll leave at midnight and drive through the night so we avoid traffic. That was a terrible plan. I did not sleep at all that day, and so I was incredibly tired. I was like expired by the time it came to leave, and the first day was the longest leg of the trip, and anyway. So the day before I left, I called my grandparents and I was like, hey, we haven't had everybody over in a while and I'd really love to see everybody. And so we're at the house, my brothers, my cousins, my aunts and stuff, and we're just like bullshitting. And I was like, yeah, so I kind of think I want to move to Florida. And my grandma, she was just such a skeptic. My grandma, God rest her soul, she was crazy. She was a crazy broad, but we love her. Anyway, so she was like, yeah, right. Like, you're not going to Florida. What are you going to do in Florida? And I was like, well, actually, I am going to Florida and I'm leaving tomorrow. And of course, you know, my grandparents flipped out. And then I was like, oh, and by the way, I'm also Muslim, because at that point I had converted to Islam and I practiced for several years. Whole nother Oprah for another day. Leave a comment if you want me to make a video about my religious exploration journey. Anyway, so yeah, so I told my family the day before I left and then just said my goodbyes and then got on the road the next day and drove to Florida without a plan, without a job, without knowing anybody. And I made it. And so as I'm rolling into Orlando, I had met my friend's parents like once or twice, and they had said like, hey, if you're ever in Orlando, like look us up. So here I am rolling into Orlando. I Facebook the mom and I'm like, hey, remember me? Remember when you said if I was ever in Orlando, I should look you guys up? Well, I'm in Orlando and I could really use a place to crash for the night. And they were like, oh my God, yeah, we're just making dinner, like come on over. So me and my roommate who drove with me across the freaking country, God love her, we almost did not make it. Our friendship almost didn't make it. We almost didn't make it. Anyway, whole nother Oprah. So we roll into town, we're going over to my friend's parents, and I was like, I don't have a place to stay, I don't have a job. And they are angels, okay? They were like, you can stay with us. The deal is, as long as you're working towards some kind of a goal, then you can stay here rent-free. And they let me live with them for a year and a half, rent-free. I'm not kidding you. They are such good people. And I spent a lot of time looking for different jobs. I had a few different random ass jobs, and then finally was able to like get on my feet and start building my life in Florida. So I tell you this whole entire story because that was one of the biggest moves I had ever made in my life. It was one of the scariest, bravest, craziest, most courageous, idiotic things I'd ever done. I called it my quarter life crisis because I was like 20 some at the time and did not know what the hell I wanted to do with my life. I just knew I needed a change, and I took a big fucking risk. And the reason I didn't tell anybody was because I had shared previous goals and previous dreams with other people in my life before, other people that were close to me who I thought were supportive of me. And all I got was negative feedback or questions or skepticism or them projecting their fears onto me. Because here's the thing, I come from a really small town where a lot of people are afraid to make big leaps. They're afraid to go out of their comfort zone. And so they project those fears onto you because they don't think they can make it. And so I think it comes from a loving place that they want to protect you, but they're just projecting their own fears of not being able to do the thing that you're trying to do. And here's the thing, don't take advice from people who've never done or attempted to do the thing that you're trying to do. They don't have any fucking clue what it takes. So that's why I didn't tell anybody. And, you know, me coming back to Colorado, the story was a little different. My life has been a little topsy-turvy the last year and a half. I've shared a little bit about it, but I'm not ready to kind of fully share the whole story. But my life's been a little topsy-turvy the last year and a half. And it got to the point where I felt really stuck. I felt like I didn't have a lot of options. And I'm a girl who always creates options. And when I hit a wall to the point where like I didn't feel like I could create any options, or the options I was creating were just like not panning out, it was like disappointment after disappointment after disappointment. I was like, man, what the fuck? So I called a very dear friend of mine who he and I, you know, were an item many moons ago. We grew up together. He has a brilliant mind, and he has such an incredible knack for problem solving and seeing things in a way that I just wasn't able to see. And so I called him literally and was like, I need your brain. I need you to unpack this situation. I gave him all the details. I gave him everything I was feeling, everything I was thinking, all the logistics, and said, can you help me sort this out? And he was so brilliant. I knew I could lean on him for this. He was like, listen, you have to evaluate where your liabilities are, where your assets are. And the truth is, in Florida, you don't have much working in your favor. You need to get your ass home. And I had some things in the works, but I just wasn't sure how they were going to pan out. And I kind of depleted a lot of my resources and my energy. And I just was not in a good mental space to like make sound judgment without help. And I knew that I needed to be very strategic on who I asked for help, and that's why I reached out specifically to him, because I knew the way that his brain works, and that's what I needed. And I was so stuck in my survival screen that I couldn't see options. And so when he said that to me, he was like, you need to get your ass home. You have community, you have resources, you have more assets back in Colorado than you do in Florida. It clicked for me and was like, wow, now I do see options. I do see choices. I don't feel as stuck. And so I decided that I was just going to make this move. It was right around the Christmas holiday. Literally like made this decision like 2 weeks before Christmas. Started planning the logistics a week before Christmas. Well, yeah, about a week before Christmas. And then I left on December 20th. And my friend's mom, God bless her, flew out to Florida, drove back with me with my dog in my car, jam-packed my car full of everything that I could fit in it, put the rest of my life in a storage unit in Florida, still there by the way, and just decided, all right, let's do this, let's go back. So I'm in Colorado, and the reasons I didn't share this move with anybody were a little different this time. There was more excitement, there was more mystery behind it because I wanted to surprise my family. I wanted to make a big Christmas surprise and show up on Christmas Day and surprise my family. And so I didn't tell anybody. There was literally like 3 people who knew I was coming back to Colorado. And it was beautifully executed. I was able to surprise my family on Christmas Day and slowly let people know that I was back in Colorado and be very intentional with who I reconnect with while I'm here and give myself time to kind of get settled and reacclimated, because I'm back in my hometown, but it's all completely new. I haven't lived here in 20 some years, and so I'm seeing it with a fresh lens. And I bring up these 2 stories because I thought it was important to share with you one that I think it's really important and really strategic to make big moves in silence. Don't just rattle off your intentions or the things that you want to do. Instead of telling people your intentions, show them your results. Because I'll tell you what, nothing builds your confidence more like being able to demonstrate visibly and tangibly the things that you've created for yourself, the moves that you've made for yourself, and also only being strategic with who you share this with. And I say that because you should really only, when it comes to like big goals, big moves, life-changing things, only share it with people who can help you get where you want to go. You don't need to, make this declaration to all these people of I'm gonna do this. Don't become one of the I'm gonna people. Become the I did that kind of person. And one of the biggest lessons I learned this year was that I couldn't do everything on my own. I had to ask for help, but I still remembered to only ask for help or support or share what I'm doing with people who could actually get me where I needed to go, who could support me, who wanted to see me win, who wanted to see me get to the finish line. And so I think that's one of the biggest things that I learned early on, was to make big moves in silence. But the thing that I learned additionally the second time around was get the right support. You don't have to do all of the things yourself, and you can make big moves in silence, but you don't necessarily have to make big moves entirely by yourself. And I hope that you take that away from that. If there's something in your life that you're like, ooh, this is big, I need to make this big change or do this big thing, or I'm trying to create something magnificent, don't share it until you actually do it, but caveat that with reach out to people who want to see you win, who can actually give you the knowledge, the resources, the encouragement to get you there. So I know I kind of gave you like the very short, condensed, abridged version of my Floridification. But if you want to see like the full story and like what I talk about and how to ignore the worst advice that you'll ever get, I'll leave a link to that video somewhere around here. But I basically talk about some of the worst advice that you'll ever get in your life and why you should ignore it. I really hope that me sharing this little story with you is inspiring to you in some way and can help you move forward on something big. I know we're at the beginning of this year, and so you might have some big moves in mind. And so I really hope that this gives you that kick of encouragement that you need to kind of get yourself moving and create a sense of momentum for yourself to actually do the thing that you're trying to do. Because I have full faith in you. You are capable. You have the resources available to you to make whatever happen. You just have to be strategic when you make big moves in silence and get yourself the correct support to get you over the finish line. Speaking of goals and help and support, one of my goals this year is to build this channel and build this community, and you can help me by subscribing if you haven't already. That does 2 things for me. One, when you like the video and you subscribe to the channel, that helps push it out to more women like you. That helps us build our community and foster a sense of support and a network of women who support each other. So that really helps me, and it really builds our community and creates this beautiful thing that we have here. The other thing is that it helps me reach my goals, supporting me and my business and the things that I want to create for this community. So one of my goals this year is to grow the channel. I want to hit that sub mark so that I can monetize the channel and support myself, you know, in other ways, because I am a businesswoman, and that's ultimately like one of my dreams, is to build this empire for myself and to have an impact on other women like you. So that would be honestly such a solid that you could do for me if you just subscribe and like the videos that you see. So speaking of things that I'm building, I am launching a membership this year where you can work with me, and you can also be a part of a community in a more private kind of VIP space where we work together on different avenues of building your confidence in your life. And so I will be announcing that soon, but if you want to be the first to know about the membership, everything that it's going to include, the free stuff that comes along with it for my beauties on a budget, definitely drop your email on the wait list. I'll leave the link in the description box. And speaking of the description box, that's full of goodies that you can get from me, like freebies, worksheets, workbooks, free journal prompting. So this whole video was about how I made some crazy big decisions, and if you are facing a big decision that you need a little bit of encouragement with, I definitely recommend you check out next week's video. It is going to be about how to make confident decisions, and you definitely don't want to miss that one, because I'm going to dive into strategy about how to make decisions with confidence, no matter if they're small little decisions or if they're big life-changing decisions. So definitely check that out and tell me. I would love to know, are you facing a big move that you're making, or what are some big moves that you've made in your life that were either life-changing or shocking, or just something that you're really proud of? I would really love to know like what your stories are. I get so inspired by the things that you guys share with me in messages and in comments. That's it for today's episode of Cafecito y Chisme. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave me a comment, like, subscribe, do all the things. You know how YouTube works, and I will see you guys in the next one. Ciao.